Good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here. And I'm not going to roast you, Danny. Not like Ira did to me or Jeremy did to me, saying that I wanted to date his wife. Anyway, or mother, excuse me. Most of the speakers have been younger than, and they're talking about coaches. Well, my relationship with Dan is just the opposite. I started wrestling in '65. Yeah, that's where all this gray hair comes from. And I came back from college and I became a coach, the first coach at Voorhees High School in New Jersey. And it was a brand new school. And Dan was on my first team. In fact, he was my 60-pounder. And you see this picture here. This team was not lacking for funding. It had the president of the Board of Education. His son was one of the wrestlers. He was a state champ the year before Dan. And he made sure they had a new wrestling room, brand new uniforms, the best coach the money could buy, and you couldn't ask for anything more. So I was my first coach, and this was back in 1975 when Dan was in 5th grade, and it was his first year of wrestling. He tried earlier, a couple years before that, but because of the pandemic, they couldn't get to practice, so he started in 75, 76. And so in his first match, we're going to Phillipsburg. Of course, this doesn't mean anything to you as much if you're not from New Jersey, but Phillipsburg was like the Brandon of that era. And the match, it was a kids program, and it was a little cement blocks of a building called the Firth Youth Center. And the referee was from Phillipsburg, and he was wrestling the first match. Mike Barna, whose older brother, John, was the best wrestler in the northwest part of the state. And so I gave Dan a lot of motivation. I said, Dan, if you're not careful, you're going to be looking at the ceiling in 10 seconds. Well, the whistle blew, and Dan was somehow motivated, and he had Mike Barna looking at the ceiling in 10 seconds. And I swear he got pinned, but the referee's from Phillipsburg, and you couldn't get a call there. But he ended up winning that match 6-4. Dan was the state champ in '83, and Mike Barna won the state champ in '83 and '84. And now we'll move forward. Dan, in high school, that was my next to last year coaching. I was on the school board, and Voorhees High School, he was a 3-time district champ, a 3-time region champ. His big complaint was he was not in the Region 5 Hall of Fame. There is no Region 5 when I wrestled, but anyway, he's in this Hall of Fame, and he appreciates everybody who voted for him. And in the junior year, he ended up having to wrestle, even though he was region champ, he had to wrestle John Barner. And he went out there in the semifinals, and the next thing you know, he's losing 9-1. So I was like, oh my God. Anyhow, it ended up 10-8. Danny came back, a heroic thing, and he came back and lost 10-8. And John went on to be the 3rd-time state champ and the outstanding wrestler in the tournament, which is quite an achievement. The next year, Dan was also a region champ for the 3rd time, and he was 28-0. And he went into the States. In the first match, he got a pin in 50 seconds. Oh, by the way, he was 28-0. He had 20 pins, 5 superiors, and 4 majors. They didn't call them tech falls back then. And so almost every match, he had bonus points. In the second match, it was in quarterfinals. Back then, even though it was a 16-person bracket, if you lost on a Friday night, didn't matter if you were undefeated or not, that was the true death round. And you're gone, because even though there's 16 wrestlers, there was no wrestlebacks. There was a consolation if you lost in the semifinals. You wrestled. Well, the referee was his last match, the Beach Boy we call him, and he went crazy. Dan is like working for a fall, all the second period and third period, and the other guy, the referee's hitting him for stalling, and he almost stalled him out. And he only won 9-6. But then in the state semifinals, he won 18-2. Now let me get to the finals. This was a big match. He wrestled a hot wrestler, Carl Monaco. Carl Monaco was a 2-time Division III champ and 2-time NCAA runner-up, but he was only a sophomore. Dan went out and got the first takedown. 2-0. But Monaco escaped, 2-1 at the end of the period. The second period, Monaco escaped, and he got a takedown. So Dan's losing, 3-2. Let me finish this, okay? Anyway, it's not much longer. And then in the third period, was Dan is time's running out. He gets an escape with 17 seconds to go, ties it up 4-4. Okay, then they go to overtime. No points in the first period. Second period, Monaco scored an escape. And then in the third period, Monaco also got an escape, but Dan got a reversal. So it's 2-2 in overtime. And then with 5 seconds to go, the head coach looks at me, and there's 15,000 people in Chadwin Gym saying, "Did we win?" I said, "Yeah." And when the referee came to the center, the other guy, Monaco, thought he had won, and he's celebrating. And they raised Dan's hand, state champ, 1983. Thank you, Dan, for great memories. Thank you.
I'm thinking about a new fund